Welcome back, traders. I am back from my trip. I was gone for what, like 2 weeks or so. Had a really good time in Thailand. We first went to Bangkok, then we flew to Krabi, then took a speedboat to a small quiet island called Koh Noi, or just Koh Yao. Then took another speedboat to the bigger island of Phuket. Spent a few days there before flying back home. Now on my trip, I thought I was going to make a lot more videos than I did, but I just ended up having a really good time and decided to spend my time enjoying the trip. But now I'm back. I'm gonna get right into it with a market analysis per usual. So I want to go ahead and look at the economic calendar first. I have it pulled up here for this week. So on Sunday, it looks like Powell is going to speak. So on a Sunday, I would think that this could make the market open up with a pretty large gap, up or down, who really knows. But you know, last week we were kind of trending down, so I kind of think that if we do gap, it's going to be a gap down. But I don't know. Then again, you know, Monday we have Memorial Day. It is a holiday, so not much is going to go on from there. Tuesday, because it's the day after a holiday, it could be a little slow, but we do have some high impact news at 8:30 and at 10 o'clock. Combined with the Powell speak on Sunday, we could have volatility on Tuesday. Then looking at Wednesday, we don't have any high impact news in the morning, but at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, we do have FOMC meeting minutes that could play a role. We'll see. But then Thursday, we do have GDP. That's going to be a really big news driver, along with initial jobless claims. So high impact news on Thursday. And then Friday, we do have core PCE as well. So a lot of high impact news this week. So be careful with the volatility this week. Now let's get right into the charts. I'm going to look at S&P first. Here is the weekly chart. I can see all these, I guess there's a triple top. There's going to be a lot of buy side liquidity up here. I think we could be heading up there. So in the long term, I am going to be bullish. Now looking down a little bit low, we do have this weekly SIBI. This will be the next target that we can aim for once we start going back above this weekly SIBI. Now this weekly SIBI is in orange because I'm expecting this to be an inversion fair value gap, because you can see that the week before last, we rallied up through it and closed above it. So it did not really show it much respect in terms of resistance. We did kind of rally down last week, you know, kind of just like balancing this weekly SIBI. But taking a closer look here, you can see that we do have a weekly volume imbalance. We could go into there as well. Here, we also have another weekly fair value gap. I'm using this as my last line of defense. I actually don't really want price to go down in here. I think this weekly volume balance is enough. And then I want to see price bounce back up above this weekly SIBI again, use it as inversion, or even just like go straight up for this SIBI right here. And I don't really want to see too much resistance from this SIBI either. I wanted to pretty much just go straight up for these relative highs for the buy side target. So really going into this week, I want to keep my eye on this weekly volume balance right here, where there is a gap between the bodies. Like some of the wicks are touching, but there's no bodies on the weekly chart here. Now taking a closer look with the daily chart, you can see last week we did drop down, creating this daily SIBI. And then we dropped down all the way to, you can see this old daily SIBI here. We pretty much hit like 50%, and then we bounced and closed above it. So this could be it, or we could keep going down lower, going for this weekly volume imbalance. It also lines up with 50% of this daily wick. So we could hit that, but then I don't really want to see it go much lower. I don't want to see this swing low get taken out. That's why I don't really want to see this weekly BISI go into. But this is my last line of defense. We could go into here and still rally up, but if we are going to like close below here, start going through it without respecting this weekly BISI, I'm kind of giving up on my bullish ideas. I think we could be coming down for this old volume imbalance right here, this big gap. But I'm expecting price to just rally up above this weekly SIBI, stay in the upper half, or even go above this daily SIBI and start using it as inversion, and then bouncing up for this weekly fair value gap, or even go straight up to take out these relative equal highs. Now, if you grade this range from the high to the low, you can see that when price dropped down to this low, it did rally back up to about 50%. then we went down to 25%, then we rallied above 50% into the premium, kept rallying to about 75% when we started kind of like petering out, coming back for a retracement. I don't really want to see this go back to 50%. If we are going to be bullish and going for these relative equal highs, I think this is good enough for a rally for these relative highs. I don't really want to see much retracement anymore now that we are in the premium range of this large price dealing range. Now looking at Nasdaq on the weekly, probably a similar story. We did rally up the previous week into this weekly SIBI, went to about 50%, and then we're kind of just consolidating around here. Now we do have a weekly BISI, but I'm not marking it out. We actually have this old weekly SIBI that I'm using as an inversion fair value gap that is within that weekly BISI. So I'm just going to pay attention to this one. And also I'm highlighting the weekly volume imbalance, using this as my last line of defense on Nasdaq. Now zooming into the daily, you can see last week we did kind of go down, but you can see we did not create a daily SIBI like we did with S&P. So Nasdaq could be the stronger of the two. We did come back down into this daily fair value gap. Remember, this is going to be that old fair value gap, the weekly inversion fair value gap that I'm looking for to be inversion. So it would be awesome if we could just stay in the upper half of there, but we could go down into this weekly volume imbalance. That's perfectly fine. I really don't want it to trade much lower than that. I don't want this swing low to get taken because, well, I mean, if you take out the swing low, where can we go to? There's no inefficiencies until we get down to this daily volume imbalance. Now, I'm not really paying attention to this daily volume imbalance, you know, I'm just saying this is probably going to be the next target if we go through this last line of defense. So in order for us to maintain bullishness, this weekly volume imbalance, I think, should hold up. So going into this week, I think we could take out the previous week high, going back into this weekly SIBI. I want to see this weekly SIBI used as inversion before we go for these relative all-time highs. But in order for that to happen, I think we have to go through to the top of here and then come back maybe to the middle, stay in the upper half. So I think for this week coming up, the best case scenario may be the top of this SIBI here on the weekly chart, at the top of this weekly SIBI. Okay, so that's gonna do it for me this time. Remember, Monday is a holiday and we do have a lot of high impact news going into this week, so make sure you be careful as you go into the markets. But until I see you guys next time, safe trading.